Okay, hello my lovelies, and welcome to Allotment of the Dead. So last year I didn't really get my parsnips in time really to get anything decent by the time I come to harvest them. So they were all in here last year. I got a couple that were okay, but the rest of them were really kind of tiny small, and most of that I put down to the fact that I planted them quite early and I used seed that wasn't really fresh from kind of last year's growth. The main thing with parsnips to get a decent germination and a decent harvest from them is to get fresh seed every year. Don't use previous year's seed. Use the stuff that you've actually bought this year and put that basically into the ground as it starts to get a bit warmer. Where I am at the moment, there is still a danger of frost, but I'm quite lucky and I've got these raised beds here and I've got these nice perspex which I can put over the top. So it almost makes a kind of microclimate underneath that particular piece of perspex. So then you're able then, hopefully, to get a decent crop coming out the back of this. So this year, I'm going to plant probably a few different bits and pieces in terms of parsnips and also beetroot in these raised beds, but also around the plot. So I'll be starting some beetroot off in some cell trays, and then I'm also going to plant my parsnips into one of these, probably the small one in front, and then beetroot into this particular raised bed here. And I'm starting early, so we're up to the 21st of March now, so I know most people will start their parsnips probably the end of March into early April. I'm hoping with this perspex that I've got here that I can actually enable them to start that growth a little bit earlier, and then hopefully I'll get some decent parsnips for Christmas this year, because last year was woefully awful, real massive fail. So what I'll do is I'll start with the beetroot in this one, and then we'll move on and we'll do the parsnips in that one. I'm not going to show you completely and totally exactly what I'm planting in these, how I'm planting them, because again, once you've kind of been shown once in terms of kind of how I'm doing it, at least you're going to get the gist of the idea as to how I'm going to do the rest. So this particular bed, I've given it a good nice little dig over, I've weeded it, and I've made some rills. So with the side of my hand, all I've done is I've moved along the soil, made some little indentations in the soil, and that's where I'll be putting the seed. So we'll start with Bolt Hardy beetroot seed. Now this seed looks a lot like chard in some respects, in that it's kind of almost like a little collection seemingly of seeds. So it looks a little bit like chard, but the chard seed is actually almost like a collection of seeds, whereas these are individual seeds, but they do look a little bit funky. So this first one is Bolt Hardy, so I'm going to sow it quite thinly just in this first rill, and then it could be that later on, as these start to come up, I'll thin them out a little bit, just leaving 2 or 3 in the area, and then they can push each other away from each other, and then you end up with these nice little clusters of beetroot, hopefully towards kind of into the summer, and hopefully you can actually leave these in the ground till autumn and even winter. The thing with beetroot though is that they do get quite woody the bigger they get, so they're nice harvested small especially, and I absolutely love making beetroot chutney with these. So the only thing I'm going to do here that's slightly different from what a lot of other people do is I'm going to use a little bit of seed compost over the top of these seeds. It's got 2 purposes. So the first purpose is it's quite a fine soil for the nice growth to grow through, and it also straight away tells you where you've actually planted the seeds. It's a different colour. I know a lot of people will just put them in the ground and they'll stick a label on them, and that's fine. There's loads of different ways to garden, and a lot of people will learn by trial and error as to what's best for them. I always find doing it this way, it does give you that chance of figuring out where you've planted them, and it's easier for weeding as well. Beetroot generally looks a lot like beetroot, so in terms of the seedling when it's coming up, you'll notice which is which. But I know in these particular beds as well, I've had a bit of things like dock leaves and ground elder and that sort of thing growing in here as well in terms of weeds. So it just enables you to say, okay, that's the line I'm expecting, so everything away from that line is probably a weed. So we'll label that nicely with a label, and then I'll water all these in once they're all planted. So I'll get on and do the rest, and we'll get back to you. Okay, in terms of parsnips, this year I'm planting Gladiator F1, a really nice big long parsnip, and I'm going to be doing white gem, which is a little bit of a smaller variety, but really nice. Germination rates generally for parsnips aren't great, so generally if you plant a few, you'll get quite a few coming up, but you'll also get some that just don't germinate. So, and again, sow them quite thinly. It could be that you might need to thin some of these out as they grow. Some people use toilet tubes and they plant the seeds in the toilet tubes first, and then they bring down the successful ones to the plot and they plant the whole tube, which will rot in the ground, and you'll get your parsnip coming out of it. Okay. So again, that might be the ones that germinate there. Right, so that's the Gladiator. Gladiators Ready. And then again, we'll go over the top with some seed compost. Again, just delineates where they are, and also it's a nice fine soil for them to grow through. They will root quite well in the other soil, so that's not a problem in that respect. Okay. That's the Gladiator, and we'll do white gem. Quite a lot of seeds in this one, 2,600 seeds. I'm not going to grow that many, so we'll use a few of these. Unfortunately, there's not a great deal you can do with the seeds afterwards, so like I say, try and plant as many as you can really, if you like parsnips. But all I'll say is, if you use these again next year, your germination rates are going to be probably quite poor, so it's probably best to do the toilet roll method if you're using old seed. This is seed I've got from Premier Seed Direct. The thing about parsnip seeds is they are part of the Umbria family, same as giant hogweed and carrots. So it's the carrot family. So all of these seeds are quite light, they'll blow away in the wind. And the other thing that this particular plant has in common, which fits in very, very nicely with Allotment of the Dead, is that parsnip will do exactly the same as giant hogweed. So when you get the stems that actually put the flowers out, everywhere where you potentially can get sap on you, makes your skin photosensitive. So you'll end up with those burns and blisters that you get from giant hogweed with parsnips. So always be really, really careful when dealing with the big plants that come out of parsnips, especially at the end of the season when they go to seed. Saving the seed is great. You can save the seed, you can sow it again next year. But I say, be very, very careful when it comes to actually taking down the plants, because if you get the sap on you, you will feel pain like you would not believe. I speak from experience. Right, so again, we'll put the thing over the seed compost again over the top. And okay, so they're all done. I'll give them a nice water in, and we'll put the perspex over the top, and then hopefully we'll have the start of some nice parsnips and beetroot. So that's my first beetroot, my first parsnips going in. If I've got room, I'll try and put some more in as well. The thing is, especially with these particular raised beds being quite soft earth, and we've got cats around, we've got foxes around, as you've seen potentially probably on the previous tours I've done, there's big holes in a lot of places where there's soft earth, and it's the foxes basically that get in and do that. So we'll water these, we'll get them in, and we'll put these to bed for the night. Right, so in terms of beetroot, I'm growing Bolt Hardy, Cylindra, which is a long, thin, or not say thin, but it's a longer variety, like a cylinder, and also a Crosby Egyptian, which is quite a squat kind of beetroot that kind of goes like that. Again, really good tasting beetroot. And as like I say, we've got the Gladiator and the White Gem in terms of parsnip. So that's all for tonight. It's getting a bit dark now. We're almost at the stage where the bats are going to come out of hibernation, and we'll be able to hopefully see some of those on camera this year. I did try and get them last year, but I think I probably left it again too late to actually catch them. So all the best to you guys. Take care. Bye bye.